Welcome to Introduction to Ruby. In this module, we are going to discuss about Graphical User Interface in Ruby. My name is Dr. Bishwajit Panja. I am your instructor. If you have questions about any information covered in this presentation, please use the question and comment box located on gogo.com. So in our last module, we have discussed how Ruby can be used for web development. We have seen how HTML pages can be used and CGI script can be written using Ruby. Now in this module, we are going to see how graphical user interface can be developed. Okay. Now in order to create Ruby GUI, we have to install TCL/TK, okay, active TCL. So that is free to use. So you have to download and install the TCL before you can create any Ruby GUI, because Ruby itself does not have any GUI library. It uses the TCL library to create the GUIs. So for creating the GUI, as I said, it needs the support of TCL/TK. So you can download the active TCL. If you do a Google search active TCL, you'll get a free version of TCL. You can use that in order to create Ruby GUI. Now, like most of the other programming languages, Ruby uses event-driven programming when it comes to GUI. So that means event is generated based on the code, and then program is executed for creating the GUI. So for example, if you press a button, do a mouse click, so these are kind of events. Okay, mouse click is the event, button click is the event. Okay, so based on the event, certain operations are performed. Let's say you write a GUI and you have two text boxes, okay, which is supposed to get two numbers, and you have a button called say sum. So when you click the button sum, it displays the addition of those two numbers. So that means in the button it's written that the event is getting two numbers from the text boxes and doing the addition and displaying the result. Okay, so event-driven program is very popular with the GUI nowadays. So Ruby follows the same, okay, in terms of the event-driven programming. So again, event can be generated by clicking mouse, clicking button, or through menus. Okay, when you say file save, file open, so these are examples of using events. Okay. Now we need to have, so here are the steps to create Ruby GUI. First is we need to require TK, so that means we need to include the TK library. And then the first step is create of root container. So to create the root container, we use this line of code, that is root equals tkroot.new. okay, that's the instance created, and then you provide whatever title you want to have. So that means whenever we are creating a Ruby GUI, the first step would be create the root container. Okay, because everything would be placed through the root container or after the root container. Then we can add components to the root container. So first root container is created, and then we can add components to the root container. So what type of components can we add? We can add button, we can add text boxes, radio buttons, okay, check boxes, and so on. So those kind of regular GUI components. Okay, and we can provide the size of the window when we are putting together the components in the container. And then of course you have to have the main loop in order to execute everything we have in the root container. Okay, so these are the main steps. Again, the steps are: first we create the root container, put the components, give the size of the window when it's going to be executed, and then use a main loop to have all the components executed when the window is open or window is generated. Now here is the example of a basic window created using Ruby and also through the TK, of course. So again, as we discussed the steps, the first thing is include the TK library. So it's a require TK. Okay, so require is the keyword used to add the TK library here. Okay, so require is the keyword we discussed used for including the module as well. So it's a require TK library. Okay, and this TK library is within apostrophe. Now the second step is creating the root container. So we give the root container a name saying that root. So we need to use TK root.new, and then we say title, whatever title we want to provide. So based on whatever title we provide here, that is going to be displayed here as well. So we say root equals TK root new, and then whatever title we will provide, okay, that is going to be displayed here. So again, the first step always is creating the root container. So here we see that the root container is created. Now after that, this is with the window size. So root container created. We don't have any button or radio box here, but this is with the window size. So we X with 110, Y with 110, start with the top. Okay, so this is how we do it. So give that window a name label, TK level new, do X for pad X 110, so X 110, Y 110, and side from the top, and then we have the main loop. So again, the steps are first we create the root container, put the components together, give the window a size, and then use the main loop. So the main loop is like generating all the or executing all the code we have from the window. Okay, so the main loop is for creating all the or executing all the steps from the window. So moving on to the next slide here. Now in this example, we have added a button to the GUI. So the steps again, first we include the TK library. So it's a require TK. We create the root container. We say root equals TK root.new, and we provide the title, whatever title we provide here, that's going to be displayed here. We provided the size of the window here, as we discussed, and then let's say we want to create a button. So it's a TK button. So this is all this TK root, TK button, these are TK label, these are coming from the TK libraries. That's, I mean, as I have said, the Ruby itself does not provide any graphics. It supports or it needs TCL TK to create the GUI. Okay. So let's take a look at the button code here. Okay, so for creating button, we have TK button.new. Okay, so the root container, that's where we place the button, right? Root is like the basic structure. Okay, so we have TK button.new root do text quit. So you see the button is created with the text quit. And now we have the command proc. Okay, the command proc is exit. So when you click that, it will exit. Okay, and then we say we place that as side top. Okay, so it's placed here. Okay, and then tk.main loop for executing whatever we have in here. So first, after we create the root container, then only we can create the button, because the button needs a structure. So root is like the basic structure, and then the button is created from TK button, and that's given a name. So this is the name of the button. This is the caption. So there is a difference between the name and the caption. Name is like whenever we are trying to do any events, that name would be used, not the caption. Caption is just for the display purpose. Okay, so it is always very important to keep track of all the names used for the components in a GUI, whether it's a radio box, checkbox, button. Okay, so everything needs to have a name, and that using that name, the event is used, event is generated. So the names of the components are very important to keep track of, because if we use some other names, something else will happen in the GUI. Okay, so again, so there is a difference between the name and the GUI. Okay, so in this slide we have seen that after creating the root container, we can add a button to it, so add a component to it. Okay, so that is displayed, and we have also discussed that's how important it is to give proper name to the components for the event purposes, because these are all event driven. Now other components can be used in the Ruby GUI. TK entry, like a text box, so we create the text box, provide the information. TK radio button, create the radio buttons. TK check boxes or check buttons. TK text. Okay, so this is a short module we have discussed as a basic of the Ruby GUI. So in order to run or in order to create GUI using Ruby, first you have to install TCL/TK. Okay, so you can go to Active TCL website and download TCL/TK from there. After that, you can use Ruby to write the GUI. So when you are using Ruby, first thing you have to have is require TK, because without the TK library you will not be able to create the GUI. So you say require TK, and then you create the root container, give the window a title, provide the size of the window, then add components like button, menus, text boxes, anything like that. And then if you're interested, you can add some event driven. Okay, when I say click the quit button, it's supposed to the window is supposed to close or something like that. So you can always provide the events for each of those components. Okay, so that is the end of this module, Graphical User Interface. Thank you for joining me. If you have questions or comments about the information covered in this presentation, please use the question and comment box located in gogo.com, and I'll see you in the next module.